All right, let's try it again. Yeah, I tried making a video earlier, but my GovC view froze on me, and I'm going to start all over. Basically, I wanted to explain that how I'm creating the Gail series. I have outlined, basically, I finished the first book, and I have outlined the whole thing. I'm planning on writing a total of 17 books, and I'm doing them according to the Save the Cat categories. Save the Cat is, I'm finding, very useful. I have found that when I get stuck or when I get writer's block on a story, it usually means that I'm using the wrong theme. And let me see if I can get my Save the Cat book so I can kind of explain them to you. Where's my Save the Cat? Save the Cat. Oh, here it is. Okay. I also have a book called Save the Cat Writes a Novel, which I have on my Kindle. But yeah, I'm finding this very useful. Like, I was writing my novel Silver Skies in the 1990s, and I thought I was writing a love story. Yeah. And there is a love story in there, but it's not what you call, there's different categories in Save the Cat. There's like Monster in the House, Golden Fleece, and it's kind of complicated. There's Out of the Bottle. Buddy Love is, my Silver Skies was what you call Save the Cat institutionalized. Institutionalized is basically a story about groups, okay? And it's when somebody feels like they're stuck following the rules of a group, and it goes against their authenticity and happiness, okay? And Silver Skies was basically a story about two lovers who were addicted to the rules of their group, and they needed to have the courage to break free. A typical example of institutionalized would be One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, American Beauty, MASH, 1984. It's where going against the group usually means big consequences, okay? And the group has rules, you need to go by them, and if you don't, you're in big, big trouble. Now, I told you that I felt like the overall arc for everything that I'm writing is a why doing it. So, yeah, Silver Skies was institutionalized, which meant that it was a story about two lovers who needed the courage to break free from their groups. And a lot of times in an institutionalized story, the price you pay for breaking free could be your death. Yeah. It would be kind of like, like how the canceled Bible predicted in the tribulation that if you don't take the mark of the beast, it's like, that kind of thing. So basically, I ended Silver Skies where my lovers decided to be lovers, and they were willing to pay the price if that's what they had to do. Yeah. And that's how Spielberg made the movie. He figured out before I did that it was institutionalized. I had it hung up that I was writing, I don't know what I thought I was writing. I think I thought I was writing buddy love, but I wasn't. There was a buddy love subplot in there. Anyways, so I'm writing a humongous, this project that Jesus wanted me to do is humongous. I probably won't be finished till 1929. And I feel like I'm under some sort of divine inspiration as I write too. But I figured out, it appears that the overall arc for the entire thing is a wide unit. And the first 6 stories, which are finished, is in the wide unit. So it makes sense if the overall arc for the entire thing would be a wide unit, and with the first story and the ending story, the first book and the ending books to be why doing it. However, this is a series, okay? So I found, like, now I'm starting the 7th story, and why we've pretty much established why I was so targeted and why Brent was so targeted, okay? We figured out by the time we get the end of the Northridge earthquake story firmly establishes that we are dealing with Satan himself, okay? So we now understand that our enemy is Satan. Yeah. Yes. And my 7th story is opening up with a UFO scene. The UFOs are the fallen angels, you guys. You say, well, the Bible doesn't say that. They are. That was verified from Jesus himself when he was with us. He said, you're right, Gail. Yeah, they're the fallen angels. They're the third of the angels that fell with Satan. And the UFOs were very involved in my life. They were working behind the scenes, so I didn't know about it. But as I'm writing, we actually had a couple of instances where they literally showed up. Like, my husband Brent was abducted at the end of the Quebec trial, and we'll be going into that. But yeah, so I thought, wow, okay, so in order to tell my life story, I've got to talk about the UFOs. And why? This is why it's a why doing it. The big question is, why are the UFOs so interested in me and Brent? Okay? It's a mystery. UFOs are kind of mysterious anyway. And, you know, you say, are you going to tell it? It's a complicated answer, okay? And in order to tell you, I'd have to go into the Jesus-Satan dispute, which Jesus doesn't want me to talk about. So I don't think he minds me writing about it, because when I write about it, as I can bring in all the context, okay? Yeah. Anyways, I'm getting off the subject here. Okay, so the first book's a why doing it. And the reason for that is because there's a mystery there. We've got a very powerful enemy, and it seems like Lori McBride can't be killed. I mean, Brent Spiner, she drug raped him, and we thought LeVar Burton took her out, and then she just, all of a sudden, she was back, okay? I mean, it's like, this is a mystery. How is it that we can't, this is a human being that we cannot kill. She can torment us, she can drug rape us, use brain control on us, and we can't kill her. It's like, the mystery is, why is she able to do this? Now, when you read, you start figuring it out when you realize she's getting help from Satan himself and his fallen angel buddies, the UFOs. Basically, yeah. I start letting you know that she was a clone of her. They made a clone of her. So Lori McBride, clone number 1, got killed in September 1992. Then you had clone number 2, who went after Brent like she never even died, you know. They can transfer the memories from the first clone to the second clone. This is all UFO technology. Okay, so basically the first story is why doing it, because the mystery is, why is it that Brent could be drug raped? Not only that, Lori McBride had superhuman strength. I mean, it was, how in the world? She's a woman, but she has muscles like a man. That's why she was able to drug rape Brent easily. Yeah. The UFOs taught the Jesuits cloning technology along with some other things. Now, as I'm starting to write these stories, I'm figuring some other things out that they did. Yeah. This is why. So the mystery, it's a why doing it. Now, you're saying, why are you saying the whole thing's a why doing it? And if in the first book you figured out it's the UFOs and Satan, then you got the answer. Well, that's why the next story is no longer a why doing it, but there's more mystery coming up, you see. So, yeah, like, let me just kind of give you like a broad overview of what I'm planning. Okay, the first 6 stories, I'll just tell you the first story. Pen Pals, that's the start of my pen correspondence with Brent, that no one is alone. This is where me and Brent were long distance pen lovers. Then we have Oasis of Dreams, where Brent and I were long distance lovers up to the beginning of the Laurie McBride Brent Spiner rape. The fourth story covers the Brent Spiner rape, where the Laurie McBride clone number 1 raped Brent. And the mystery is that he can't keep her out of the studio, okay? It's like, and then he goes to the studio execs and they take Laurie's side against him. I mean, this is a stinking good conspiracy. And then Laurie actually gets, not Laurie, Brent actually gets the help of the California Attorney General and the governor. And even then, okay, and then we have the, she does all sorts of things. Then we have the Northridge earthquake story where Jesus actually sent down an earthquake, okay? It was an answer to my 3-hour prayer. I was really freaked out by that. It's kind of a complicated story, but that's when the mystery starts getting solved. We begin to realize that the reason we are having such a hard time defeating this enemy is because we are up against Satan himself. Yeah. Now the mystery through the rest of the Gail series is why is Satan so obsessed with me, okay? And that's a question that's going to get answered throughout the Gail series. It doesn't get totally answered till we get till the end stories. Then after the Northridge earthquake story, the 7th story on Gail and Brent's hometown. Now this one I'm going to structure as Dude with a Problem. A Dude with a Problem story is one where you've got like an ordinary guy or gal who's up against a monster villain. And it seems like, whoa, it's like, wow. I mean, a villain who's, a real problem. Typical example of Dude with a problem would be Die Hard, Titanic, Schindler's List. Okay, you got an ordinary guy who's up against a villain that's pretty strong, okay? And it's the odds just seem insurmountable. And this is basically what Brent was up against with Laurie McBride, okay? He couldn't kill her, and in the Northridge earthquake, she actually broke her femur. And then 3 weeks later, he shows up at a Star Trek convention, and there she is, like good as new, like nothing happened to her. It's like, wow. Even after Jesus sends an earthquake, she just pops right back. And I explained that the reason that happened is because the UFOs healed her leg. Yeah, I really believe that's what happened. They beamed her up right as the earthquake was happening onto a UFO spaceship. They healed her leg, and then they beamed her right back down. You might say, well, it sounds like we got a mystery here. Well, it's not. We're still dealing with a mystery, but at this point in the series, we're pretty much aware that we're dealing with Satan. And I explained that the UFOs are the fallen angels. Okay, so now we're thinking, wow, Brent is up against the UFOs. So this is a dude with a problem, and they're sending their agent Laurie McBride. Basically, these clones have been created by the UFOs, okay? Basically, they have been, because clones are UFO technology. The human cloning came from the UFOs. There were clones back in the time of Catherine the Great for that reason. Yeah, have you heard the rumors that Catherine the Great made love to horses? The real according to Jesus, the real Catherine the Great did not, but her clone did. You see what I'm talking about? So the cloning technology was in existence even back in the time of Catherine the Great. And where did they get it? From the UFOs. The Jesuits got it from the UFOs. The Jesuits and the UFOs work hand in hand. In fact, in some later stories, I'll be showing where the Jesuits would have sex parties, and some of the UFO aliens would be there too. Yeah. Okay. So we got Dude with a Problem. This would be stories 7 through 9. Okay. This was basically the 1990s. That pretty much, Brent's goal in Dude with a Problem was he was just trying to keep me alive, because Laurie McBride maintained her relationship by using death threats on me. It's like, if you won't let me be your girlfriend, I'm going to kill Gail. That's how she kept herself in that relationship, okay? And it worked, because he didn't want me to die. So he was worried, though. He was worried that she was going to kill me anyway. I mean, it's kind of like that Stephen King novel, Misery, Dude with a Problem. It's like, this is some crazy lady, and no matter what I do, she's going to kill me anyway. And he actually had a worse problem, this guy, because this villain couldn't be killed. He already tried that. It didn't work, She couldn't even be injured. It was like she was invincible. So dude with a problem. So you're going to say, how did he get out of it? He didn't totally lose. I mean, obviously, she still was able to stick around and cause problems. But the Jesuits' goal in this next story was to convince me to drop Brent. Okay? Fortunately, I never did. But they wanted me to find out about his girlfriend so that I'd drop him. And when I did find out about her, I didn't drop him. I just replaced him with Franco Nero, which didn't make the Jesuits happy because So yeah, anyways. So we got Dude with a Problem. Then the next one is Rites of Passage. This is basically, a rites of passage is when you're going through any type of major life change. And this would be the next book, which would be stories 10 through 13. When I decided to marry Brent and I divorced my husband, and then when Brent went to medical school to try to be a good husband to me, that's a rites of passage. We both kind of like we went through a change in our, kind of like a midlife crisis in a way, A rites of passage is a change of life story. Okay, the next one is Golden Fleece, okay? This would be stories 14 through 18. This would be around 2002 to 2010. This is where I had decided that I was going to stay in my new role. I was definitely not going to go back to my ex-husband. And now Brent needed to claim his wife, okay? It's a little bit more complicated than that, but Golden Fleece is when you go on a journey and you learn some things on that journey, and I did learn some things, so that's the next book's going to be in that category. Okay, book number 5, stories 19 through 25. That's institutionalized. Let me see what those stories are, 19 through 25. Institutionalized, like I said, is about groups. This was when we were dealing with the Jesuits, and basically you got to understand the Jesuits were running the earth. They still are, by the way. Yeah, they control the press, they control politics. They've been around since Loyola. Satan's their head. They're basically running the earth, okay? And we're trying to oust them, and that's why, yeah. I mean, we just can't have them running the earth. They're horrible. So institutionalized is when we're starting to buck the Jesuits, okay? And they're punishing us. And when I say they're running the earth, I am not kidding. They are literally running the earth. They've basically destroyed the U.S. Constitution. They've rewritten the laws. They're behind all the censorship and everything. And basically, when you buck their system, they give you hell, okay? And we started bucking them. We said, this isn't right. They don't have the right to choose our lovers. They don't have the right to tell us who to marry. And, and then they create beings. So basically, let's just put it this way. The Jesuits did a lot of things that would justify several types of Save the Cat stories. The Why Doonit is we still don't know why they're so obsessed with me, okay? I mean, yes, I'm important, but am I the most important person on the earth that they got to put all their resources into targeting me, which is basically what they did? And the answer to that question is not answered till the very end. Yeah. You say, what is the answer? Well, it's an overly simplistic answer is I'm Jesus Christ's favorite, okay? Favorite human. But why am I his favorite? All this complicated answer. Rites of there are several, so I've got several why do-nuts in here where we're exploring why I'm so important. It's a mystery. And Jesus was even keeping secrets from us. He was keeping secrets from his own followers. Like the Bible is not a complete account of everything important. That's one thing good about the Gail series. Like I mean, I'm going to put this up for right now, is that we're going to be bringing up some stuff that the Bible omitted, okay? Like, I'm kind of like a Bible scholar, and I had no idea when Jesus came on the scene that there were other gods and goddesses out there. I mean, I thought Christianity was it, man. Like, if you were a Buddhist or a Hindu when I was a new Christian, I thought, oh man, that meant you're a heathen. You can't be a Buddhist and go to heaven and all this. And I was so shocked when Jesus started letting me know that, hey, Gail, I'm cool with Buddhists, and I don't have a problem with anybody. He said I could even be cool with an atheist or an agnostic, as long as they're trying to be good. And I thought, wow, Christianity's gotten a lot of stuff wrong. And so basically the Gail series is going to give you, and not only that, and I'm not going to fault the Bible totally on this. I mean, most of those books were written like 2,000 years ago, So, and I don't think the science was advanced enough that back then Jesus felt comfortable explaining in detail how the multiverse runs. There is a multiverse down. I mean, but the Gail series is going to be going into it. And there are other gods and goddesses out there. There are even evil gods. The UFOs are the fallen angels. And so these are all the things you're going to be learning in the Gail series. You might say Jesus is not going to have an emphasis on prophecy. To be honest with you, it's probably better for us not to know. And I'm going to have to respect Jesus on that one. He basically just wants me to tell the story of me and my men. So basically, I've got a dude with a problem book in the Gail series. I've got several rites of passage, like when I lost my job, that's a rites of passage because I had to transition to a new way of life. Another rites of passage was when Zach Knight got right. That was I never thought the Antichrist could be saved. I mean, that was a major, I had to reorient so much of the way I approached life and everything. Yeah. When I went through my divorce, that was a rites of passage, okay? Golden Fleece means you're on a journey. I would say the early 21st century for me and Brent were on a journey. We were growing a lot. Institutionalized, basically when we're bucking the system and the price we paid for it. So I've got several books with institutionalized themes. Why Dunits? When I went through a phase in my life where most of the stuff that I went through was solving a mystery and trying to get out of my confusion, that's a Why Dunit section of my life. And so those short stories would fall in the Why Dunit. We have a couple of stories that would fall in the category of monster in the house. And that's when you're dealing with like Jurassic Park type stories. When we dealt with the Gail android, that's a monster in the house story. It's when you got, oh my God, we got a monster. It's like, yeah, that's a monster in the house story. But that wasn't the only one. Stories revolving around like Sarah Avery, who had a black hole that could have just sucked up the whole planet. It's another monster in the house type story. So we got several books that have monster in the house themes. We got Why Dunit. Now I feel that the last book that I'll be writing is going to be superhero. You say, what's that? That would be like the movie The Gladiator. What's that one called? The one about the schizophrenic who won a Nobel Prize. I can't remember. Anyways, it's when you've got an unusually a person with superhuman qualities, or just like a super genius. Right now, me and Brent have evolved where we at least have an IQ of 10,000, okay? And Jesus does appear to be using both of us in his place, sort of, to carry out his plan. So right now, me and Brent are kind of acting as superheroes. And superheroes have their unique set of problems, okay? It can be very lonely to be this gifted. Thank God I have Brent, and thank God he has me, so we don't feel alone. But it's a different type of a story, okay? So yeah, there's going to be, the last book will be in the superhero Save the Cat category. So anyways, I have to make my YouTube video, and I wanted to let you know that I'll have a link to the website where I talk about the different categories. And yeah, I made a new outro because when I was going to make at the beginning of the month, I always have to change up who my Patreon supporters are because they usually drop. I lose some and gain some, you know. And I noticed the online site that I go to wasn't working right. So yeah, I decided you need to learn how to do this on your own. So you don't have. I told myself, so you don't need to be dependent. And I figured out how to do it with Caden Live. And I came up with one that's pretty cool. It's very appropriate for a writer. I think you'll all like it. Took me a while to figure out how to do it though. Anyways, so yeah, yeah, I'm very, very busy. I'm not going to complain. Yeah, like Jesus has gifted me so that I'm a genius writer. Brent is actually very good at being a world leader, and I'm really totally content with him being the president. And yeah, he's really gifted, and plus he can confer with Buddha all the time. So I actually prefer to have him in that job. I'm very gifted as a writer, genius level intelligence when it comes to writing, and yeah. So I just wanted to let you know that I have outlined the whole thing. You say, do you really have to know what the cat? It helps me, okay? Because when I go in to write this story, I can't enjoy writing it if I don't feel like I'm writing a meaningful story, and if I'm not really sharing the spiritual lessons that I learned in that period of my life. So I need to know how to structure, you know, the story so I can bring that out, and that's why it's helpful to me to do the Save the Cat stuff. Yeah. Another book that's been really helpful to me is INFJ Writer by Lauren Sopela, because I have, on the Myers-Briggs, I come out INFP. I'm very intuitive. I got to get the big picture first, and then I just kind of get into the zone and write. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I have arced the whole thing. I'm hearing brain to brain that Gail, the Complete Series, could be the new Bible. It appears the new Bible is not going to have prophecy in it, and I think that's wise on Jesus' part. Yeah, because, you know, the problem with having prophecy is that Christians waste their time arguing about it, and it doesn't do any good. You know, it's like, yeah, you just need to know that the future is going to be great, okay? If we obey Jesus and do what he wants, the future is going to be great. That's all we need to know. Okay? We don't need to know all the other details. You know, oh, that Lizzo. Another thing that I've figured out, Lizzo and Satan are exhibiting borderline rage. That's right, borderline rage. Yeah, I've done character sketches on Satan and Lizzo, and I figured that out. See, because when I get to the Jesus and Satan scenes, when I write them, I'm not going to be doing a transcript like I did with Bible for Tribulation Saints. I'm going to actually create a scene. I'm going to describe what Jesus looks like, his facial expressions, when I bring in his dialogue. Yeah, and same with Satan. So I needed to do a character sketch on them and kind of like get in the zone to figure out what drives them. And I figured out that Satan is... he's a borderline. He also has narcissism. Both he and Lizzo are narcissists and are borderline. Okay? But I do believe that Satan is a borderline. And he is exhibiting borderline rage. And it wasn't helped when he literally got kicked out of heaven. That made it worse. You say, well, what's he all raged about? I think I better stay off that subject. But you'll be able to figure it out, I think, when you read Gail, the Complete Series, when I get to that story about 5 years from now. Anyways, I needed to make my video, so I wanted to make sure that I do that.